What's going on, guys? It's Andrew with AvalonKing coming at you today with a bit of a different format of a video. We're here in Georgia at the VINwiki compound with Mr. Ed Bolian. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today.
Thanks for telling good stories.
Left hand, awkward shake. Cool. So we're gonna just drive around and talk because I came up with that idea.
Yes.
Driving around and talking.
In a car.
Yeah. Here, you hold the camera. I'll go ahead and get into the Mercy. We'll go ahead and get started. This is the Verde Draco?
Yes.
Verde Draco.
It's both of my things.
Oh, that's fine. You got VINwiki colored shoes.
I do. There you go.
So it's a custom painted Verde Draco LP640?
With a manual gearbox.
Most important part. I'll just go ahead and
Just slide right in there.
yeah, I'll just get right in. Just get in the car. Get in the car. Here we go. Just get into. Just get into the thing.
Comfortable?
Yeah, this is great. Here's the thing. I know for a fact that I can fit better in a Scuderia. Maybe we should.
You want to drive the Ferrari?
Do I want to drive? Sure, I guess. Yeah, this is a bit more comfortable than the Lambo. I think this will work. This will be fine.
There we go.
You know, I've got a confession to make. I've never driven an automatic Scuderia.
You've only driven the one manual one?
Yeah, so okay, we have, this is the steering wheel.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's
And then these are the
paddle shifters.
flappy.
Paddle gearbox.
Gotcha.
Flaps.
All right, so we are driving your Ferrari 430 Scuderia, no F.
No F, that's correct.
So
yes.
430 Scuderia. This one is an automatic. So again, first time with the automatic Scud. Definitely a track-inspired gearbox.
Correct. Yeah, it's geared really short, so you do a lot of shifting. It's very different than the Lambo in that regard, which is geared to the moon and back. But it's a lot of fun. It's a very nice complement to the big, crazy V12 monster. It's very tactile, very tossable. The visibility is obviously considerably better, and you can sit up straight, which is an interesting novelty.
Well, I can sort of, but I'm not trying to leave a spot on your headliner with my scalp, so I'm ducking a little bit. But no, I really could. I could get used to this. It'd be all right, I guess.
Oh, well, I'm pleased to hear that. So yeah, that car that we both drove, the Exotic Auto Group?
European
Auto Group out of San Antonio. They stick swapped a 2008 Scuderia.
Well, it wasn't a swap. It's a conversion. It has the stock transmission. They just adapted it and made it a manual.
Okay.
Yeah, conversion. And so that's why it's crazy. That's what makes it even.
Yeah, it's all OEM Ferrari parts.
Yes.
It just, because there were manual 430s, there were just no manual Scuderias.
Correct.
So that is, I believe, the only one that's been done. There were some other 430s that have been done, but I think that's the only Scud they've turned out. And it's a great feeling car. I thought very hard about doing it, but quite honestly, the car was clearly built around the premise of being able to shift that quickly, that precisely. So I didn't find myself immediately kind of pining for it. Now, 5-10 years from now, when this gearbox is even more outdated, maybe, but it's always nice to kind of have that as a backup plan. Now, fortunately, with 430s, unlike Aston Martin Vanquishes, there's not a lot of terrible gearbox time bomb outcomes that you have to be terrified of.
Yeah.
So, like with a Vanquish, your actuator's going to fail, and it's $18,000 to fix that, or $30,000 to swap to a stick. All of the money you spend on the 30 grand swapping it to a stick, you get back in resale. So everybody does that.
Yeah.
Here, I don't expect the magnetic Morelli actuator, even though it's the exact same thing that's in a Vanquish, to fail, because Ferrari seems to have done it better. And so it's a pretty solid car. And actually, I put about 8,000 miles on it since I bought it 5 or 6 months ago, and it's been bulletproof.
That has to be some of the highest mileage in the shortest period of time ever put on a Scud.
Yeah, I mean, the day after I bought it, we left for a Lux Rally event. So I went to Nashville, then Vegas, and back. And it was, I mean, it's a terrible road trip car, as exotic cars for road trips go, because like these seats are really comfortable to me in this position, but you can't like slouch or move around at all.
Right,
so
you're stuck at the...
Yeah, this is the position, and if you want something else, then get another car.
Yeah.
Now, I do like, this one has the leather seats. The last one we drove had the technical fabric interior. It's not really Alcantara.
Right.
And that was the standard for the Scud. That one actually had a special interior with red inserts and yellow stitching. And when I saw that, I was like, that's a really unique combination. So I went back to the VINwiki app and checked the VIN. Take it right here.
These are really touchy brakes.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. And it turned out that was a car that had been repossessed by Premier Financial Services, and we had it at Lamborghini Atlanta. Go.
All right.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's almost as good as my Focus.
I'm pleased to hear that. That's what my hope was, that's what your takeaway would be.
Yeah, that's all right. That's not bad. I didn't even wind out the gears.
No. And it actually does have quite a cam change as you get up, so it's worth revving a bit. But that car had been repossessed from its original owner alongside his Verde Ithaca 08 LP640, and so we had it at Lamborghini Atlanta while I was working there for a good long while, and so I had sold it. I think we sold it to another dealer at some point when Premier was ready to part with it. That's fine. I like the car. I don't really like black cars in most cases, but red interior is the best way to redeem them.
Yes.
And so that's a very unique one, and it's very cool that that's the car they did. And so I know they've been trying to sell it lately. I know it's always been advertised for sale, but it's kind of a contradiction because it's very much $100,000 more than a normal Scud would be, and they advertise that they can convert them for like 50. So it's like, how's that work? But alas, I bought this one. It was the cheapest one available at the time, and it had 28,000 miles, or about 36. So it's been great. Apparently, it was like a Fab Speed demo car at some point. So,
really?
Yeah, it had everything they do. It doesn't have it now, which I actually kind of like. Loud cars are awesome and they've got their place, but especially if you're going to put real miles on a car like this, that kind of noise with such little sound deadening gets a little bit tiresome. So
I mean, you say that, but I just did a 6+ hour road trip in a turbo back straight pipe Focus ST, and I enjoyed most of it.
I believe you. Yes. Yeah. My wife said he's almost here, and you were not almost here. She heard you coming. So that's good. That's good. But
I was trying to keep it quiet through the neighborhood as well. But it is a fairly throaty little car.
So how are you enjoying the new gig?
Man, this is... How crazy is it that I have a regular paycheck and I'm still doing YouTube?
That is an absolute impossibility. I mean, I get invited to elementary school career days as a YouTuber because that's what all the kids apparently want to do. I try to explain to them it's not as glamorous as they might imagine, but they think it's just unboxing toys all day, and it's in fact not that. But you would never say oh, you could go be an automotive YouTuber and have a salary from a real company. Yeah. How about that? So congratulations. I'm glad they found the right guy for the job.
I hope so.
Now, do you try to treat it as the Wendy's Twitter person? I need to think of the wittiest AvalonKing context things that I could say in any context of the internet?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's I'm that guy.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm like that kind of edgy, maybe back in the early 2000s wore the Hot Topic pants and the big ball chain necklace.
Absolutely.
Nowadays, kind of low key, recovering goth.
Nice.
I want to just have a bit of a sting on what I say.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's spicy.
Yes, exactly. Okay. They found I hope that was their description. They gave you a one-page, we want this kind of feel.
Sort of. And in all honesty, I literally just described myself. I did in the early 2000s.
You've had a dog collar.
I worked at Hot Topic.
There we go.
So there's that. There's a little factoid for the internet for everyone to make fun of me for later.
What was the best part about working at Hot Topic?
Getting discounts on heavy metal t-shirts.
Okay.
Because I'm very much a metalhead through and through. Have always been very much, and not just like the standard, like, you know, I listen to Godsmack, and I listen to like bands you can't pronounce from countries you've never heard of that sing about stuff that would be really questionable here in the Rust Belt.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Bible Belt, not the Rust Belt.
Oh, sorry, Bible Belt, right?
But you get some corrosion, but it's a pretty good place to own a car these days.
Yeah, this is these roads that we were just on. Wow, boy howdy, do we not have any of that in Florida?
No, long, straight, flat. We don't get potholes and things like that up here terribly often either, but 'cause it'll get cold in Georgia. We're in Alpharetta, which is a little bit north of Atlanta. It'll get cold here a few months a year, but very rarely is it going to be below like 25 degrees for any type of sustained amount of time. It's always going to get above 35, 40 during the day. So if it snows, it shuts the whole city down, and it's a real apocalyptic circumstance, which is a lot of fun. There have been a couple of big ice storms, one of which was portrayed on Saturday Night Live with Buford Calloway, and just a fantastic. But,
so you've always kind of been in the Georgia area. This is where you're from?
I have, yeah, born and raised, which is kind of uncommon. Atlanta has become one of those cities that so many companies have moved to that there's a lot of transplants, and there's a lot of good things about it. I mean, it's not the cultural center of the universe by any stretch, but it's a good place. It has everything you want.
I'd say it's definitely a cultural center of the southeastern United States.
Right. Sherman thought so.
Well, yeah. Well, you're kind of like the East Coast Hollywood here now.
It is. That has become a thing. Yeah, a tremendous amount of that. Which actually, you know, it's not as though we'd ever make enough money off YouTube, but technically we have the availability of such tax credits for even making YouTube videos.
Really?
Yeah, the threshold is way beyond what any amount of money that you make to actually qualify for it. But if you did, if we were Dude Perfect Atlanta, we'd have it. Or obviously if I was Tavarish, you know, rolling in it, rolling in the monies,
rolling. Yeah. I think it's mostly the printed out Fast and Furious money that you have in your garage.
Yes, yeah. You know, the thing about YouTube and the way that the money works is that it has the most fragile feeling to it ever, and it feels like at some point it's all just going to stop, because like, why did it even start in the first place? And it feels like at some point, we'll take a ride at this light. At one point, you're going to look back and be like, yeah, I was an automotive YouTuber, and all I have to show for it are these high-mile salvage title derelict exotic cars.
I don't even have that. I just have my Focus.
Well, there you go. You can aspire to having that as being the end game. Oh, man.
But at least in a few days, the car will be ceramic coated, so at least it'll be a really clean Focus.
That's it. Yeah.
From my days as we should co-write a memoir, Our Days as a YouTuber.
Yes. Yeah.
Days of Our Subscribers. Sort of soap opera.
So what are you going to call this thing that we're doing?
That's, you know, hopefully by the time that people are watching this at home or on their phones.
Hey,
we've been recognized.
We've been recognized.
More than likely, you have been recognized.
Oh, I think it's you. I think they saw the sunshine glistening off that head of yours.
Oh man, I'm a beacon. I'm a beacon of Gondor here. But no,
what do you call it? Because it's kind of a comedians in cars getting coffee thing, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, that's not a template, but
not even really, because like I came up with this idea to like put a camera in a car and talk with someone. Like I don't think that anyone else has done this before.
No, that's true. It's kind of strange, because normally you'd be like in a room or something for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's groundbreaking.
Yeah.
What you've done.
We should call it ground talking. Ground talking on
the cars, in the cars.
Talking on the ground. Talking on the ground.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We're first gear. We're good. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Not a stick.
Oh boy.
Rev it a little further than that. It likes to be between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM.
Oh.
Yeah.
I should go back down to first then.
Yeah, it's Ferraris don't do very well because they don't make a lot of low-end torque.
Right. So they kind of judder a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those things that you find yourself revving them more than you normally might expect to be. But no, it's a great car. And, obviously I drank the Lamborghini Kool-Aid for a good long while. I was the director of sales at Lamborghini Atlanta for 6 years, and I still would say that the big V12 cars are my favorites. Just in what I want a car that I drive on the road to be, that's it. Like, make my drive to anywhere as crazy as it possibly can be.
Yeah, that's a really good philosophy. I think. I don't think I've ever driven a V12.
Of anything?
Of anything,
No.
period. I don't think I've ever been at the command of 12 cylinders.
Well, it's interesting because all engines have their own kind of characteristics, and like this is a real growly engine. And the 430 has always been kind of described like that. It actually sounds a lot like the 350Z motor, like in terms of, to me, the way that the exhaust is architected, and it's not actually as advanced from like a racing technology idea as the 360 motor was before it. They kind of cheated the power with massively increasing the displacement, which is something Ferrari had not typically been known for. But to go to 4.3 liters in this motor was a big jump from 3.6.
Yes.
3.5 before that. So it's we'll take a right, hop down the highway a little bit. So I love the car for a lot of the things. If I'm honest, I would say that I think a Stradale is actually a prettier car than a Scud.
Really?
Well, and a lot of it has to do with how old I was when the 360. You don't have to go to neutral every time. The only time you would want to do that is if you're gonna be like idling for a good long while, because it takes the pressure off the throttle bearing. So it's not hurting anything, but it's unnecessary.
10-4. It's just always, even in a stick car, I'm very much into the after having my pilot bearing explode, I'm very much into the preservation of transmissions.
There you go. Hit it.
All right. That is intoxicating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. That is not unenjoyable.
So I was really glad to kind of get another Ferrari. I had some for my exotic car rental company and always loved them. But the 360, when it came out, I was 14 years old. So like, there can't be anything cooler than that. And I think for all of us, there's going to be cars that were the craziest thing imaginable in that impressionable era.
Yes.
That it doesn't matter how much better a newer car is, it's just not cooler than that.
Correct. Yeah. So like for me, like I'm out of the kind of that range of Ferraris. I'm really into the 360s and the 430s.
Yep.
I like the 458. I like the 488. But if I were going to purchase one, not even due to price, it would be either a 360 or a 430. To me, it's a better looking car. It's a better sound. Well, I don't know, the 458 does sound pretty good, but they sound really nice. I don't know,
There's just something about it. It's one of those intangible things, and that's why, like today, you can't make a YouTube video about a high-performance car without somebody chiming in and saying, but now they got C8 Corvettes. I don't understand why anybody buys this junk. But cars are about performance, but once they're fast enough, it's about all the other stuff. It's about what it feels like to be in the car and to drive it and to go somewhere in it, to use it like a car.
Well, it's like most people, they don't care if your car has less than 1,000 horsepower. It's like, oh, you only have 750 horsepower?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever driven a car with 500 horsepower? Most people don't.
No. And it's crazy how much power everything has now compared to just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I drove a Porsche 996 GT2 and 454 horsepower, and I remember going down a 2-lane road and being like, I can't see sideways. This thing is so fast. And that was 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds.
Yes.
Which, this thing, I think, is 3.3. Everything is that fast in sports car world, even with 300 horsepower now. And so it's so amazing how far cars have come, particularly in the transmission age of performance enhancement. Because when you looked at what made cars faster in the 2000s, it was gearbox enhancement. And so they couldn't make bigger engines, they couldn't make them less clean, so they had to actually make the transmission chip better, so go down.
Lord have mercy, oh my, oh my. The VTEC kicked in, yo.
It does do that. Absolutely.
Wow, that is incredible. Like, who needs a 458 or a 488? Like, this is plenty fast enough.
Oh, sure, yeah. And honestly, the double clutch transmission those cars have, it's just like, it has a rawness to it. Now, it's not as engaging as a true stick, but at the same time, everything about that motor and the ways that it was enhanced from the standard 430 motor hinges upon how fast this car can shift. So when we drove that car that was a stick, like, you could tell, like, I gotta be on top of this car. You've really gotta hammer it, or else the rest of the car doesn't work quite so well.
Yeah, it doesn't keep up.
So I will say it is not currently coded in AvalonKing. It will be. The guys from Esoteric Detailing really want to come fix it up. They heard about how rough I make a car, and they were like, it seems like our kind of project. So
you and Freddie both, man.
Yeah.
When Freddie and I were making the Art of the Flip video for Wrench Every Day, which was putting my Mini Cooper back to stock and getting it ready for sale, we were wiping the car down for the final shots. He was using tire dressing to wipe down the paint of the car, and I'm like, Freddie, what are you doing? Oh, it's dressing. I'm like, for tires. Freddie does not understand how to keep a car clean, nor does he understand what to use and where to use it.
Right.
He's just, it's a cleaning product, I'll use it. So I'm hoping now that he is working with this Clarity Code company, maybe he'll take some time and start to learn a little bit, because all of his cars are very unclean. They are unclean and they need Jesus.
That needs something. But one of my favorite storytellers that we've had for the VINwiki channel was one of our mutual friends, Matt Norman.
Yes.
And he came up here to do a car. They were detailing a Cobra, something up here. And he asked me to come by and tell some stories. I'm like, absolutely. And I knew a little bit about his channel. I'd seen kind of this amazing garage and the cars that he had, but I hadn't really learned that much about his story. And in hearing him talk and hearing that, really the YouTube exercise has been to exercise his obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yes.
And as pure as one can have it, he has it. All good. But I asked him, I was like, will you just talk me through your mental state as you drive your GT3 RS to Cars and Coffee? I think it might be my favorite video on our channel. The anxiety that builds about, all right, he washes it on a set day, and then it'll be clean in its bubble for a couple of days. Then he goes to Cars and Coffee under the utter fear of love bugs and gravel and everything else that could happen. And then he gets there and he knows it's not perfect, but he also knows it's the cleanest car out there, but it's not clean enough for him. And just going through how that plays out, the decision, like, do I get my gear out and I clean it right here? Because I could do that, I've got it all. And then he puts it at home and it's not clean, and he wishes he could clean it, but his wife will kill it if he spends another 12 hours detailing his car. And I was like, man, this is so fascinating.
I met him when I worked at Injuku Racing.
Okay.
I'm part of the Obsessed Garage Facebook group.
Okay.
This is probably 3 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago, when he still had the blue GT3.
Yep.
And he was working on putting it back to stock, and he needed some help, kind of just doing some last things, as well as putting the stock exhaust back on the car. And so I responded to the Facebook post. I'm like, hey, I live less than like 30 minutes from him. I live like 25 minutes from him and his shop and everything.
And at the time, I was working at Injuku as their like media guy. I'm like, hey, I know I can use a camera. Do you want some help filming this? And he, absolutely, yeah. So I went there and helped do a few things here and there on the car. I ended up filming that entire video for him of that car, like that final reassembly. And so that's how we met. And then I got him in touch with Freddie to do some stuff with the white Lambo once that car had been repainted, and they wanted and this is actually my first experience with AvalonKing.
Right, they installed it.
Was doing that, and Freddie wanted to do a video of like a DIY, like detail your car with what you have, like run what you brung kind of video. And Matt had loaded up his GT3 RS to the gills with like thousands of dollars worth of equipment and chemicals, and like he was ready to come and do the whole thing, and ended up using just the stuff that Freddie had in one of the cabinets in his garage. And I could tell the entire time Matt wanted to just like peel the skin off of his body, like he was just like he couldn't stand it.
We could use this stuff, but why would you?
Yeah.
I showed him, my status quo car cleaning exercise would be to, as I leave, pull it outside of my warehouse, spray it off with a pressure washer, accelerate away as fast as I could to dry it, and then arrive somewhere as clean as the car was going to get. And the horror, like the sheer gas response.
Yes. Yes.
I was amazing. I loved it. We'll hop off on this next exit and loop around. It'll bring us back north.
Sounds good.
This is actually the Lamborghini Atlanta insurance-approved test drive route that
Really?
we're on right now. Yeah, it was at one exit north of here, so we come down and they're doing some construction, so there's a little bit of a kink on the exit ramp, but essentially you come around this turn, there's very seldom any police patrolling right here, and so if you're cruising along in 6th or 7th gear in an Aventador, right here you drop it down a couple, get 3rd or 4th, and just blast off, and you could hit 175 miles an hour before you had to brake to make it around this turn on the overpass.
Wow.
In theory, if this were the same course in Mexico.
Right.
But give it down to 3rd.
Exit here? Exit here?
Yes.
What tires do you have on this car?
Sport Cup 2s.
Nice.
Yes. And then you come up to this wall, stay to the right, and then you stand on the brakes and impress people. And now we stay to the left.
Left here?
Yep. And you're gonna get a nice little left, right, left. Nice and fun. You good? It's a suggestion stop sign.
Single lane?
Yep. Nobody's coming at you.
I don't know the car that well, so I don't really want to
That's quite all right.
push it too hard. I would in my car, absolutely.
And that's the thing about a fun car.
That's a really severe downshift. I wasn't ready for that.
All right. Is that even if you're not pushing it, it should be fun.
Yes.
Like you should look back on the chance to have been in it, whether you're just going to the grocery store or you go do a 200-mile mountain run and think like, man, that was better than if I was in something else.
Yes.
And better in a holistic way. Not more comfortable, but
Just as an experience overall.
Exactly. That's why we own it.
Yeah, my ST, I've focused mainly on handling with that car. So I have probably close to $1,000 worth of chassis stiffening modifications. I have the Michelin PS4S's on there, and it's just for what it is. It's a blast. It really is. And like I get used to a lot of the roads that I drive on and how I take corners, and then sometimes someone will be in the car with me and they're kind of like clawing at the door panel or like trying to reach for the help me Jesus handle, and I don't realize that I'm like going around these corners at an absurd speed for a Ford Focus. I really enjoy that sensation. I've always been more into the handling of a car than the straight line speed. I can feel it in this car. Like this is a very well balanced car. And if I had some bigger cojones, I would try to take advantage of that. But I ain't trying to mess anything up right now.
Well, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I've driven just a regular F430 with the F1 gearbox, and that was very enjoyable. And I really think that that's the car for me. I really would love to have one of those.
It's a good choice.
Yes.
I mean, that was a game-changing car because you did away with the timing belt, so the car didn't have this looming $5,000 to $10,000 maintenance liability. The clutch life's exceptional. You have 25, 40,000 miles out of the clutch. The room is good. You know, you could see things. The seats were a lot better. The interior from a 360 to a 430 is a lot better. That's really where this car shines relative to a Challenge Stradale. It's just being in it is a lot nicer.
Yes, and out of the two cars, I do prefer the interior of the 430. I love this iconic 3-vent kind of layout here on the center stack. Just a cool. It is very of its era.
Yep.
But it's also very timeless.
Sure.
It's kind of both.
Yeah.
I wanted to try and catch up with that C4 Corvette over there.
That'll be fine. We can do it. We get more fans of C4 Corvettes commenting, probably because Rob Pitts and Casey Butch both absolutely love them. Two of our frequent storytellers, but they're a very popular car.
For what they are, they're good for like what this guy's doing, cruising with the top down. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
There you go. We're gonna coat my wife's car with AvalonKing this month, since you guys are our current monthly sponsor.
Yes.
And so it's headed off her GL63. I mean, I'm as dirty as I can get a car. It's unbelievable what she can do to a car. So I'm very, very keen to see how well it helps. Of course, I'm not going to be like Freddie and pretend that I'm going to do it myself. I'll take it there. I'll rub one panel on and let proper guys finish it.
Right.
Because it is very much a DIY product. If you're not a total idiot like me or Freddie, and that we are that, so we need not do that. Well, it's more so the prep work that I can't do. If the car was perfectly prepped or brand new, I can do it without any trouble.
Yes.
You give me a buffer.
Yeah, no, that's the same for me. I've done a very non-aggressive single-stage paint correction on my car because you really can't mess that up.
Right.
But as far as like a really in-depth, proper multi-stage paint correction, I would love how to learn how to do it, but I don't own the equipment or the chemicals. I don't have the space for it right now to do that at my own home. So I'm excited to see the results of that Mercedes. That thing is going to look awesome. And I know the guys at Esoteric are like killer, so it's difficult to make a silver car look amazing. I know that they're going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I know, I'm excited about that. And obviously they have loyalties to other ceramic coating brands, and I was like, look, if y'all want to clean the car and do whatever you want, you can do that. However, at the very least, we're going to coat part of it with AvalonKing so that I can see the difference as it holds up over time.
Yeah.
So that I think is going to be really interesting. That I'm hoping they'll do the hood, because there's a Italian flag racing stripe down the middle, so we'll coat one side of the stripe AvalonKing, one whatever they prefer.
There you go.
And just see what happens over time. So I've always been curious, what would happen if you put it on a car that already looks terrible? Like if you coat the car with swirl marks and all that stuff, what does it really look like?
So basically, the state in which the car is coated is the state in which the car remains. So if you coat the car, you'll definitely still see the swirl marks. You'll still have an enhanced gloss, a deeper shine, but it'll just be shiny with swirl marks. So you definitely, the
what
paint correction
is... What if it doesn't have any clear coat remaining because it's a 12-owner, 2-accident, salvage title, frame damage, airbags deployed, 2002 S55 with 110,000 miles?
I feel like that's a really specific question, and it might be something you could possibly test.
Oh, okay. What if the paint's actually cracking and peeling off?
then the ceramic coat would go with it.
Okay. It won't hold it on.
No.
It has no adhesive properties.
It does not. Not in that situation, unfortunately.
Okay.
It pretty much only adheres to the clear coat. So like there are companies that say, well, we'll do a 12-layer ceramic coat, coating. You're only basically the only thing you gain from doing multiple coats is ensuring even coverage.
Okay.
It doesn't stack. You're not going to get better gloss and more hydrophobic properties. You're just going over the same area. It's a self-leveling product. So like if you look at clear coat like under a really high-powered microscope, it looks like skin. It has pores, small holes, and so the ceramic coat fills those holes and it bonds to that surface and that surface only. So if you have a layer of ceramic coat, you do another layer and you wipe it away, you're just wiping away that excess.
Okay. Stay to the right, exit, next exit. How hydrophobic is it? I mean, I've seen the water come off my cars.
So
if you put it on a shirt, what happens?
On a shirt? Well, the shirt would become stiff and uncomfortable.
Okay, well, that'd be a bad outcome.
Yeah, just like when you're using the little micro-suede cloths, after a while, it becomes stiff because the ceramic coat will crystallize and become hard. So,
and it's essentially glass, right?
Sort of glass. This exit right here. It's glass or like quartz.
Okay.
I'm honestly not sure where the word ceramic comes into play, if I'm totally honest.
All right, maybe in the characteristic of the outcome.
Sure. Going right?
No, we're gonna go left.
Left.
The esoteric guy said they coat brake calipers.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
I flabbergasted.
You watch your language. This is a family channel.
That's right. Oh man. Well, I'm fascinated to see. I mean, I've been pleased with it on the 993 and the Mercy. It's been great. I don't think I haven't used soap to clean the Mercy since we put it on, and I might have otherwise. Not for sure, but I might have used soap to clean my car.
Huh.
If this had, but I felt no need to.
Yeah, I'm excited to start doing a whole bunch of tests when I get my car done. That's the main reason I'm doing it, is so that I can just test all the things.
Well, when I did it on the 993, we hadn't really done any product demonstration videos on VINwiki, so I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, all right, well, I put it on, and it looks great, but admittedly, it looked great before it was put on, because all this has done is show off the prep work for a long time, presumably. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to necessarily do, and so I started driving around to construction sites in my shiny black, perfectly clean Porsche, driving through dust storms, trying to get it dirty. And I did. I got it real dirty.
You did, yes.
And it came right off. However, it also got in every crevice that we didn't coat or have access to. So that was a royal pain for a good little while. Because every time you drive it or wash it, more dirt and mud would come out of the holes in the car. So it was not foolproof. The fool kind of compromised the result for a little while, but...
So what you're saying is you don't really have any interest in doing a Sahara build 911?
No, that was, Lee King does those just up the street.
Yes.
And it's cool. I mean, I like this kind of expedition prep stuff, but no.
I love it. I think it's the best thing ever.
I
would never go off-roading in it. I would just drive it on the street.
They do all the time. Go to the right if you don't mind. We're going to make a right at the next light, not this one. They'll go on trail runs with them. I'm like,
it's so cool.
Good on you. Good stuff. He hasn't put a snorkel on one yet, but they get them in water, like, pretty deep.
Wow.
Right now. Well, I think we'll pull up to one of the spots on the street up here and find a place around here for some lunch if you're up for it.
I'm okay with that.
Well, am I the first guest of this working title production?
Yes, yeah, you are.
Hey, look at that.
I mean, I don't think we could have done any worse, really.
That's agreed. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We really achieved proper mediocrity baseline that others can not be intimidated with.
You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like.
Fantastic. Well, I'll thank your viewers and lead some food.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Guys, thanks so much for watching, for hanging around. We're going to go get some grub. You know, do the subscribe, like, comment, all the YouTube things.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yes.